Howdy, homesteaders. Today is a Saturday morning, and I have to confess, I am way behind on my videos. I need to catch up on my videos. So I am editing videos this morning, and hopefully I'll get caught up. I am severely behind schedule, and you'll know that from this video how far behind I really am. So here I am getting ready to edit this video that you're getting ready to watch now. Howdy, homesteaders. Today we're going to get some meat rabbits. We are back. We went ahead and traveled for 2 hours down to Tennessee and picked up some meat rabbits. They're only about 9 weeks old, a little bit over 2 months. That's how old they are, and we just got back. So I think the trip went well. We transported them in some cardboard boxes, and you can get away with that for a decent trip. And what we did was, in the trunk of the car, I put down a tarp, and then on top of the tarp, we put down a couple towels, old towels we didn't care about. Animals, when you transport them, they're going to do things. So the car we laid down the back seat so that there was an opening between the trunk and the cabin space. And we had air conditioning cranking the whole time. So that way, at least in the trunk, it'd be a little bit cooler than it is on the outside. And but yeah, it was a 2-hour journey. And we did take care of a few things on the way back. We had to stop and pick up our milk. Today's our milk pickup day. We do drink raw milk. And we had to do that today, and had to go to the store and pick up some rabbit feed, which is hard to do on July 4th, but we actually found a store that's open. So we got some rabbit feed, and then we come on home. And that's basically the story there. Sometimes, the way you remember things might not be exactly the way they were or the way they are, Now my rabbit hutch that I put together, and the rabbit hutch is pretty sound except for the minor discrepancy with the roof, which I do plan on remedying and fixing in the near future as time permits. So I am going to fix that. But overall, it's a really good hutch. But the thing that I forgot, the thing that slipped my mind, is that these cages that I made them homemade. The wire panels that I have were not made to be turned into cages. Oh, there's Jasper. Jasper's saying he misses me. He's in the front yard on a tether. Be quiet. You be good. Be quiet. So anyway, they're not made for cages. You can make cages out of them, but that's not what their intended purpose is. It's fencing. It's made for a fence. That's the intended purpose of this animal mesh. And I guess things are just made cheaper these days. But anyway, what happened was in my last batch of rabbits, I don't know if they were escape artists or what they were, but they were on a mission to pull up the different wires on the bottom of this wire cage to try to open up a hole. So most of these cages, this is the part I forgot, most of these cages have wires that are bent up and moved around on the bottom of these cages, so I have to actually go and repair them before I can start using them on an ongoing basis. So I'm not going to just buy all new cages. I'm going to repair and use what I've got to the best of my ability. So that's the part I forgot. And when you put things in storage and that rabbit season was done, it was behind us. I just forgot about it. So now, as we brought the rabbits home to put them in cages, that's when I had the revelation, oh yeah, I need to fix these cages first. But there was at least one cage that was in perfect condition, and that's the cage that I put them in. At this stage of development, where they're only 9 weeks old, they're nowhere near adulthood, so they're still, young, not even really adolescent yet, but they're just little rabbits. And at this stage, you can put them all in the same cage. It's no big deal. You can put the male with all the females, and you can be guaranteed that nothing is going to happen because they haven't reached that level of maturity yet. So you can get away with that all the way up until, I think, the 4th month. Once it gets close to the 4th month, you really need to divide them out in the different cages. Now, in the natural habitat, they're not divided. They're free to roam wherever they go, and they mate as nature dictates, and when I say nature, I'm not talking about some mystical concept of nature. No, when I say nature, what I mean by that, it's the program that God gave them. God pre-programmed his creatures. He pre-programmed a tree on how that tree is going to grow and how that tree is going to interact with his environment. He pre-programmed rabbits on how they're going to grow, how they're going to interact with their environment. They have natural instincts that's been programmed into them by God. So when I say the word nature, I'm talking about that pre-programming that God put into them. So that's what I mean by that. It's not some mystical nature thing that a lot of people like to think of. So anyway, according to their nature, according to their pre-programming, they breed as they breed, and then, they dig holes in the ground and they live wherever they live and all that stuff. But if you're trying to grow food, it's just not really all that practical to do that, in my opinion. I think it's more practical to separate them and then bring them together when you want to breed them. And it's more practical to do that than it is to try to replicate what they would have normally in nature. And really, when you do try to replicate what they have in nature, it really is not what they have in nature. It's just the closest facsimile that you're giving them. But, I just don't like the idea of, you put them in a fence, you let them burrow down to the ground. Well, what's going to keep them from going under the fence? They could burrow right under the fence and get out, and then now you've lost them. Now they've returned to nature, and you no longer can keep them on your farm. So I don't want to have to deal with that. I think it's just more practical to keep them in cages. And whenever they become adults, trust me, they're a lot happier to have their own cage because they would fight each other if they were trapped in the same cage for any duration. They would fight each other, so they wouldn't get along. So it's good that they each have their own cage, and that each cage is big enough to where they have some good living space. So that's where we are at now. I have these cages that are the right size. They are big enough so that they have their room once they become adults. It has a nice feeder that we put right here, and it just goes right through the side of the cage. And ideally, this is the way your feeder should be. It should have a nice little lid right here to keep the rain out of it, to keep your feed dry whenever it rains. And also it has an access down there so they can eat it. Once you get the feel for how much each rabbit eats per day, you put in that feeder only what they are going to eat. Only what they are going to eat. And then you don't put any more. That way they don't overeat. But they have free access to it until it runs out. So it's limited free access. And then you have their water bottle that's going through the side of the cage with the little nipple on the bottom that they can access anytime that they need it. And you have to make sure that water bottle stays full. It has water in it. So it doesn't go completely empty. So they need to have water all the time, and they need to be fed once a day. And you need to know how much feed to put in there. But I'm going to put them in here together. I'm just going to freely fill it up to the top and let them freely access it, and then I'll dial in the feed amount as we go. So here they are. They're just resting right now, trying to get over. There is a little shock that takes place when any animal is transported. They're taken out of their familiar environment, and they're thrust into a completely different environment. So they just spent 2 hours in the trunk of a car, and now they're trying to gather themselves and get over the shock of now they're in a new environment. So that's where they're at right now. So I think that they're doing well. They're doing just fine. You don't have to teach a rabbit how to eat the food. They smell it, they seek it out, they eat it. So that's the pre-program that God gave them. So you don't have to really meddle with that at all. They will take care of that. You just have to make it available. Make it available for them. So this is where they're at now. And what we have is we have 4 New Zealand does. 4 New Zealand does. Those are the white rabbits you see there. All white. Nice little pink eyes. Right? Which all of our rabbits have pink eyes. The other rabbit we have is a Californian. Right there in the back. And you can tell him because he's got the darker ears and a little dark spot on his nose. And a little dark feet tips. So the feet are dark on the tips, the nose has a dark spot on it, and there's dark ears. And that's how you know it's a Californian, as far as looking at it. And it's also a white rabbit other than nose marks, and it also has pink eyes. So they're just hanging out. So we got 1 Californian buck and 4 New Zealand does. And the California is an excellent meat rabbit, and the New Zealand's are an excellent meat rabbit. But the reason why we use this combination is because the Californian bucks, they are known for their ability to breed. And whenever you have a buck in your rabbitry, his sole function, his sole purpose for living is to breed. That's why you have him. So you want to have a good breeder, and a Californian is an excellent breeder. And then the New Zealand, they make excellent mothers. Mainly because they have the extra teats. They have, I think, 10 to 12 teats, I believe. I have to look that up. But they have more teats than the Californian does. The Californian only has about 6 to 8 teats, I think. So they can only have up to 8 to 10 kits altogether. Whereas the California or the New Zealand can have excess of 12. They can have up to 14, I believe. So that's what makes them great mothers, is their ability to nurture more of them. So that's good. So you have that combination of the good mother with the excellent father, and you have a better chance of result. And both of them are meat rabbits. So when you combine the genetics from both these breeds, you end up with a result, a cross. It's a California and New Zealand cross that is really good to put in your freezer. Really good for your freezer. You know, a really excellent. You get the benefits of both these meat rabbits in one rabbit. You get the benefits of both. So that's what we're doing. We're actually raising these rabbits to be our breeders, and they're going to supply us with offspring that we're going to have in rabbit tractors, and that's going to supply us with a source of protein, a source of meat for our homestead. And it's just one source of meat. We're looking forward to getting some chickens in the future, which would be another source of meat and eggs once we get the chickens going. But really, rabbits are a really good way to start. You know, these rabbits, we got them at a really good deal for $15 each. So for 5 rabbits was $75. That is a good deal. As far as livestock goes, I mean, you know, that's a very low investment on your livestock. Really low investment. You know, so, and then the feed's not that bad. I think they go, these rabbits will probably go through a bag of feed in a month. So that's not that bad. We just got a bag of feed. It cost us like $19 as a premium stuff. It was really all we had available. And actually, I know of a better source for feed that's going to be a little bit more affordable. I think somewhere in the $15 to $16 range. But it's just one bag a month. 150-pound bag a month. That's not bad. That's not bad. And the other thing is, you notice how the rabbit hutch is open on the bottom. you know. And the main reason for that is I'm going to put a tarp down here. And when I put the tarp down here, and when they start pooping on the tarp, then I'm going to have manure. Rabbit manure, you can take it and put it right on your garden. It does not have to compost. You can take it fresh off the ground and put it right on your garden, and it's really good for your garden. It's really good fertilizer for your garden. So eventually that's going to have fertilizer piled up in there, and we'll start shoveling that out and start using it. So that is an immediate thing that these rabbits, once I get the tarp down and everything, they will immediately be supplying us with fertilizer for our plants. And it's really good to have a free source of fertilizer, or I wouldn't say free source. We are paying for the feed, right? So it's a cheap source of fertilizer. So figure that in. If I'm paying $16 a month for the feed on these animals, and they're providing me with all the fertilizer I need for my garden, so we get the fertilizer whenever they come of age, which would be another 5 months at least. Actually, no, not that long. No, not that long. They're already 2 months old.
Yeah.
So another 3 months at least. At least another 3, maybe 3.5 months, we can start breeding them. So, but during that 3.5 months, we have fertilizer. So that's an immediate benefit. Then once they breed, and we, help them to nurture their young, and they get grown up, and then we wean them off, and they put them in a rabbit tractor, or we can even feed them if it's before spring, which I believe it will be before spring, so we'll just feed them. And those offspring, whenever they get big enough, they're going to go in the freezer, and then boom, we got freezer meat right there. So they're really a good livestock animal to have on a homestead, I believe. A good place to start. So there's our rabbit enterprise in the beginning. And let's take it one step at a time.